There are moments when you can sense something is not right, not because of what is being said, but because of what is being felt. The atmosphere becomes tense, the words carry weight, and the response inside you is tested. The Bible does not ignore these situations, but it also does not lead us to react with force or fear. Instead, it points to a different kind of strength, one that is quiet, steady, and rooted in truth. About people. In Ephesians 6:12 it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers." This changes how we see others. Instead of reacting quickly or emotionally, there is a call to discernment, to recognize that there may be deeper struggles at work. But even with this awareness, the Bible never teaches us to control others. It teaches us to remain grounded. There is also a powerful principle in how influence works. In 1 Peter 3:1-2, it says, "They also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation." This shows that presence, conduct, and quiet strength can have more impact than many words. What you carry within you shapes what happens around you. This is not about silence as weakness, but silence as stability. It is about not being pulled into confusion, not reacting in the same spirit that surrounds you, but remaining anchored in peace. When your response is steady, it creates a different atmosphere, one that is not driven by tension, but by clarity. I have often realized that the moments I chose not to react were the moments that changed the situation the most. In this message, we will walk through what the Bible teaches about responding to difficult spiritual situations with wisdom, restraint, and quiet strength. Not by trying to control others, but by staying grounded in truth, allowing your presence to reflect something deeper. Because sometimes, the most powerful response is not what is said, but what is carried. Number 1, understanding that the battle is spiritual, not personal. When you begin to face difficult interactions or sense tension in others, one of the most important shifts the Bible calls you to make is this: do not take everything personally. What you see on the surface is not always the full picture. People may act in ways that feel heavy, confusing, or even confrontational, but Scripture reminds us to look deeper before reacting. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." This verse does not remove personal responsibility, but it reframes how we respond. It reminds us that people themselves are not the ultimate enemy. There are deeper struggles, unseen pressures, and internal battles that may be influencing what we see outwardly. This understanding changes your posture. Instead of reacting quickly, defending yourself, or responding with equal intensity, you begin to pause. You recognize that responding in the same way will only add to the tension. The Bible does not call you to ignore what is happening, but to approach it with clarity and restraint. Another verse that supports this is Proverbs 19:11. "The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression." This shows that wisdom often looks like restraint. Not every moment requires a reaction. Sometimes the strongest response is choosing not to escalate what is already present. Seeing the situation as more than personal also helps protect your own peace. When everything is taken personally, it becomes easy to feel attacked, misunderstood, or drawn into unnecessary conflict. But when you understand that there may be deeper struggles involved, you create space for patience. This does not mean allowing harmful behavior without boundaries. The Bible never teaches passive acceptance of what is wrong, but it does teach measured response, one that is guided by understanding rather than impulse. In practical terms, this may look like listening more than speaking, observing rather than reacting, and choosing your words carefully when you do speak. It may also mean stepping back internally, even while remaining present externally. Over time, this approach builds stability. Instead of being pulled into every emotional shift around you, you remain grounded. You begin to see patterns more clearly and respond with greater intention. In this way, understanding that the battle is spiritual, not personal, does not lead to passivity. It leads to clarity. It allows you to engage with others without losing your peace, and to respond in a way that reflects wisdom rather than reaction. Number 2, remaining grounded in peace instead of reactivity. Once you begin to see situations with clarity, the next step is learning how to remain grounded in peace. This is not always easy, especially when emotions rise or when the atmosphere feels tense. But the Bible consistently points to peace as something that can be held onto, even in difficult moments. John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." This shows that peace is not dependent on circumstances. It is something given, something that can remain even when situations are unsettled. Reactivity often comes from feeling the need to respond immediately. When something feels uncomfortable or challenging, there is a natural pull to react, to explain, defend, correct, or push back. But Scripture encourages a different approach. It invites stillness before response. Another verse that reflects this is Ecclesiastes 7:9. "Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools." This is not a condemnation, but a warning about quick reactions. When responses come too quickly, they are often shaped more by emotion than by wisdom. Remaining grounded in peace means allowing a moment between what happens and how you respond. In that space, clarity begins to form. Instead of being carried by the situation, you remain steady within it. This kind of peace also affects the atmosphere around you. When one person remains calm, it often changes the dynamic. It may not resolve everything immediately, but it prevents the situation from escalating further. In practical terms, this may involve slowing your breathing, choosing not to respond right away, or simply listening without interruption. These actions may seem small, but they create stability. They allow your response to be guided, rather than reactive. It is important to understand that peace is not the absence of feeling. You may still feel tension, discomfort, or concern. But peace determines what you do with those feelings. It keeps them from becoming your response. Over time, this becomes a pattern. Instead of reacting to every situation, you begin to respond with intention. This creates a sense of consistency, both for yourself and for those around you. In this way, remaining grounded in peace is not passive. It is active restraint. It is choosing to hold on to what is steady, even when everything around you feels unsettled. And from that place, your response carries clarity instead of confusion. Number 3, letting your conduct reflect truth without words. There are moments when words are not only unnecessary, but can even make a situation more complicated. The Bible teaches that influence does not always come through speaking. In many cases, it comes through how a person lives, responds, and carries themselves in difficult moments. 1 Peter 3:1-2 says, "They also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear." This passage reveals a powerful principle. People can be influenced without direct instruction. What they observe, your patience, your calmness, your consistency, can speak more clearly than many explanations. When someone is unsettled or acting from confusion, responding with many words can sometimes increase tension. But when your conduct remains steady, it creates contrast. It introduces a different kind of presence into the situation, one that is not driven by the same energy. Another verse that supports this is Matthew 5:16. "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works." This is not about drawing attention to yourself, but about allowing what is right to be visible. Your actions become a reflection of something deeper. Living this way requires restraint. It means choosing not to respond to every comment, not to correct every misunderstanding, and not to engage in every moment of tension. Instead, it means letting your consistency speak over time. In practical terms, this may look like maintaining a calm tone, showing patience when others are unsettled, or simply remaining steady when the atmosphere is tense. These responses may seem quiet, but they carry weight. Over time, this kind of conduct builds trust and clarity. Others may not understand it immediately, but they begin to notice the difference. What you carry internally begins to shape what is experienced externally. It is important to understand that this is not about avoiding communication altogether. There are times when words are necessary. But this principle reminds us that words are not the only way influence happens. In this way, letting your conduct reflect truth becomes a powerful form of communication. It brings stability into situations that lack it, and it allows truth to be seen even when it is not spoken. Number 4, praying quietly without drawing attention. While outward responses matter, the Bible also points to something that happens inwardly: prayer. Not always spoken aloud, not always visible, but deeply meaningful. Quiet prayer becomes a way of engaging with God in the middle of a situation without adding to the noise. Matthew 6:6 says, "But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly." This emphasizes sincerity over visibility. Prayer is not about being seen or heard by others, but about connection with God. In moments of tension or difficulty, quiet prayer can become a steady anchor. It allows you to bring the situation before God without needing to explain everything outwardly. It creates a space where you can remain present but not overwhelmed. Another verse that reflects this is Nehemiah 2:4, where Nehemiah, before responding to the king, briefly prays within himself. It is a simple but powerful example of how prayer can happen even in the middle of a conversation. It does not require a change in environment, only a shift in attention. This kind of prayer is often brief and sincere. It may be as simple as asking for wisdom, for calm, or for the right response. It may not involve many words, but it carries intention. Over time, this practice becomes natural. Instead of reacting immediately, a person begins to turn inward first. This creates a pause, and within that pause, there is space for clarity. Quiet prayer also helps guard the heart. It keeps the focus from shifting entirely to the situation and brings it back to God. This balance prevents the mind from becoming overwhelmed. It is important to understand that this is not about withdrawing from the situation. It is about remaining present while staying connected to something deeper. It allows you to engage without losing your sense of peace. In this way, praying quietly becomes a hidden strength. It does not draw attention, but it shapes response. It brings calm into moments that could easily become reactive, and it allows your actions to be guided rather than impulsive. Number 5. Guarding your own mind and spirit. In situations where others seem unsettled or difficult, it becomes even more important to pay attention to your own inner condition. The Bible consistently emphasizes personal responsibility when it comes to the heart and mind. You cannot control what others think or do, but you are called to guard what is within you. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." This shows that what happens internally has a direct impact on what happens externally. If the heart becomes unsettled, responses will follow that same pattern. But if it remains steady, actions will reflect that steadiness. Guarding your mind does not mean ignoring what is happening around you. It means choosing what you allow to take root within you. When tension is present, it is easy to absorb it, through frustration, irritation, or even fear. But Scripture calls for awareness. Not every feeling needs to be held onto. Another verse that supports this is Isaiah 26:3. "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee." This points to focus. When the mind remains centered on God, it becomes less influenced by what is unstable around it. In practical terms, guarding your spirit may involve noticing your own reactions before they fully form. It may mean stepping back internally, even while remaining present externally. It may also mean choosing not to dwell on thoughts that increase tension. This is not about becoming distant or unresponsive. It is about remaining clear and steady. A guarded mind is not closed, it is stable. It is able to engage without being carried away. Over time, this creates resilience. Instead of being affected by every shift in atmosphere, you remain consistent. This consistency becomes a form of strength, not only for yourself, but for others as well. It is important to remember that guarding your heart is an ongoing process. It requires attention, but it does not require strain. It becomes more natural as awareness grows. In this way, guarding your mind and spirit becomes a foundation. It allows you to remain grounded, even when what surrounds you is unsettled. And from that place, your responses carry clarity instead of reaction. Number 6. Responding with gentleness instead of force. When tension rises, there is often a strong impulse to respond with equal intensity. But the Bible teaches a different approach, one that values gentleness over force. This is not weakness, it is controlled strength, guided by wisdom rather than impulse. 2 Timothy 2:24-25 says, "And the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, in meekness instructing those that oppose themselves." This passage highlights restraint. It shows that conflict is not resolved through forceful reaction, but through calm and patient response. Gentleness has a unique effect. It does not escalate tension. Instead, it slows it down. When one person chooses calm over intensity, it often changes the direction of the interaction. It may not resolve everything immediately, but it prevents further disruption. Another verse that reflects this is Proverbs 15:1. "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." This is a practical truth. The tone and manner of response matter just as much as the words themselves. Responding with gentleness may involve lowering your voice, choosing fewer words, or simply pausing before speaking. These actions may seem small, but they carry influence. They create space where clarity can exist. It is important to understand that gentleness does not mean avoiding truth. It means delivering it in a way that does not add unnecessary tension. It keeps the focus on what is right, rather than on reacting emotionally. Over time, this approach builds consistency. Others begin to recognize that your responses are steady, not reactive. This creates a different kind of interaction, one that is less driven by conflict and more guided by clarity. In this way, gentleness becomes a form of strength. It allows you to engage without being drawn into intensity. It keeps your response aligned with what is right, even when the situation is not. Number 7. Trusting God to work beyond what you can see. After all that can be done, remaining calm, guarding your mind, responding with wisdom, there comes a point where you must release what is beyond your control. The Bible makes it clear that not everything depends on your actions. There are outcomes and changes that only God can bring. Romans 12:19 says, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, for it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." This is not only about justice, but about letting go of the need to fix everything. It reminds us that God's work continues beyond what we can see or influence directly. Trusting God means accepting that you are responsible for your response, not for controlling the entire situation. This brings relief. It removes the pressure to resolve everything immediately. Another verse that reflects this is Psalm 37:5. "Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass." This shows that when something is placed in God's hands, it does not remain unresolved. It continues in a way that is guided beyond your understanding. In practical terms, this trust may look like stepping back mentally after doing what is right. It may involve choosing not to revisit the situation repeatedly in your thoughts. It is a decision to release. This does not mean indifference. It means confidence that God is present and active, even when you are no longer directly involved. It allows you to remain at peace, knowing that the outcome is not entirely in your hands. Over time, this trust becomes stronger. A person begins to see that not every situation needs constant attention. Some things unfold over time, and some things are resolved in ways that are not immediately visible. In this way, trusting God becomes the final step in maintaining peace. It completes the process by releasing what cannot be controlled and placing it in the hands of the one who sees clearly. Conclusion: quiet strength in a noisy world. When we look at these principles together, a clear pattern appears. The Bible does not teach control over others or dramatic outward actions. Instead, it teaches stability, clarity, and quiet strength. Understanding that the struggle is not always personal, remaining grounded in peace, letting your conduct speak, praying quietly, guarding your heart, responding with gentleness, and trusting God. These form a way of living that is steady and consistent. This approach does not always produce immediate visible change, but it creates something deeper. It preserves your peace and allows your presence to reflect something different from what surrounds you. The world often responds with noise, reaction, and force. But Scripture points to a quieter path, one that is not weak, but deeply grounded. It is a strength that does not need to prove itself loudly. In the end, what you carry within you matters more than what you say in the moment. And when that inner foundation is steady, it shapes everything that follows. This is how you remain unmoved in situations that could easily unsettle you, not by controlling others, but by staying rooted in truth. And in that quiet strength, there is a kind of influence that does not need to be announced. It is simply present,